Thank you, everyone. I want to appreciate you once again for taking me to my practicum. This is one of the steps in my MBA journey to share some of the results from the survey that I actually shared. I'm just going to tell us some factors that impact entrepreneurial performance based on this is strictly based on data. No assumption here, and I will tell you that some of your assumptions could actually be wrong today based on what we've seen from data. This presentation is just to showcase those factors to you. So I'm going to say that we had about 750 respondents, and out of the 750 respondents, we have a full entrepreneur right now. There's about 200 full entrepreneurs that answered this survey. We have about 192 part-time entrepreneurs that answer the survey, and the other set of people are actually employees. They're neither in entrepreneurship or part-time entrepreneurship. So I'm going to say that some of those surveys were for the people that are married, because the main reason why I actually the main research is actually about spousal support and how it affects entrepreneurial performance. But we had some of those entrepreneurs answering that. But for this one, there is a part of it I just want to share with you that will be more practical, and I hope that you guys will be available when I invite you to share more insight with me. So I'm going to start with what entrepreneurship is all about. Entrepreneurship is a business process that encompasses several stages and activities. It involves identification and appraisal of opportunities. And an entrepreneur actually have a choice to either sell or exploit these opportunities. It involves the efforts that is required to acquire the resources to exploit these needed opportunities. And of course, without a strategy to exploit these opportunities, an entrepreneur might not succeed. And it's also about the development of a design model to build a business model that could support the opportunity that the entrepreneur can exploit. The business model that an entrepreneur builds is what differentiates an entrepreneur from an hustler and a sole proprietorship. Those definitions will be shared at another time. So an entrepreneur is that person that is able to see this opportunity, exploit this opportunity, build a strategy around this opportunity, build a business model around this opportunity, and at the end of the day, increase economical growth, improve the well-being of the people, because you improve the well-being of the people when you create employment for people, when you increase the economic wealth of the people, because in Nigeria, SMEs actually contribute a lot to the gross domestic product of the nation. And that is what entrepreneurs do. Entrepreneurs are like God. They make a difference by the value that they create. The business case is about the fact that entrepreneurship is tough. Entrepreneurship is tough, and it seems to be tougher in a country like Nigeria. I've not practiced entrepreneurship elsewhere, but when you gather entrepreneurs together, they tell you that entrepreneurship could be a tough deal. And maybe that is why the percentage of people that are into entrepreneurship is not as much as you want to think. And this is because it involves a lot of emotions. In Nigeria, you're struggling with government policies, you're struggling with human resources, you're struggling with local government health, you're struggling with new rules, new orders, just change your mood daily. So you have these moods of your moods are always fluctuating up and down between failing and succeeding, the stress. Sometimes you are calm. Sometimes even when you are too calm, you are wondering maybe you are missing some things, or some things are hidden from you, because it's a roller coaster of emotion. And this emotionally demanding and knowledge-driven journey actually requires support. So entrepreneurs have been found to be able to benefit from emotional support from their social networks. In fact, entrepreneurship without a social network might not succeed. And the literature has also shown that because entrepreneurs also face both work and family challenges, maintaining these two perennial problems could actually mean they need emotional support. Literature actually says the emotional support from spouses comes tops when it comes to emotional support that entrepreneurs require. So I'm going to go briefly into the research that I've done it's good to know that in Nigeria, most people do not put all their eggs in one basket. Yes, because 30% of the survey sample are part-time entrepreneurs. Their entrepreneurship is actually their side hustle, and 9 to 5 is their stable income. Therefore, most Nigerians do not put their eggs in one basket. They believe that for an average person to succeed in this environment, you need alternate source of income. And Nigerians are doing that very well, because 30% of my respondents are actually part-time entrepreneurs. And when we asked why they've not been able to move into full-time entrepreneurship, we realized that fear of failure comes top when it comes to their need to move into full-time entrepreneurship. Fear of failure because of uncertainties in the environment, fear of failure because of government policies, fear of failure because of the kind of success they have defined for themselves, and they are questioning the fact that, will I be able to maintain this lifestyle if I move from 9 to 5 to full-time entrepreneurship? It was amazing that I actually thought finances was going to be tough, and finances was just about 22% of why people do not move into full-time entrepreneurship. Yes, some people, actually about 5% of people, feel that they need a particular level of education before they move into full-time entrepreneurship. So I checked if schooling is a scam, and I realized that schooling is not a scam. Tertiary education is important, because on the average, people, entrepreneurs with undergraduate degree actually generate 3 times the revenue of college graduates. So school is not a scam. Going to the university is not a scam. People actually build some resilience, they build some competences, they build some skills, they build some capacities when they are in school that also help them in their entrepreneurial journey. What I did not ask in this survey is if to know the kind of education, if the entrepreneurs actually acquire entrepreneurial education. That also calls for further research, so that we know if entrepreneurial education, like the man, Mr. Tosin from an enterprise development institute, if acquiring enterprise development and education from enterprise development institute could actually impact on entrepreneurial success and the value of the level of revenue they could generate. We also check if work experience counts. And it's amazing that sometimes people see that if they're not entrepreneurs, that is not a fact. Entrepreneurship is like a fact right now. Work experience actually counts, because people actually learn while they earn. And therefore, we cannot discount the place of work experience when it comes to the value entrepreneurs bring to the table. Work experience, people that had previous work experience are able to generate about 7 times the revenue of those people that did not, have work experience. So being an employee for a particular set of time could actually make a difference. We didn't compare how many years people were in entrepreneurs in work experience before they started entrepreneurship to know if the number of years or the length of years actually also impacts on their entrepreneurial journey. But work experience impacts on entrepreneurial journey, and it allows people to generate more revenue than people that never had any work experience. Then we looked at women entrepreneurs and men entrepreneurs, because we know that what a man can do, a woman can do better. But unfortunately, in my survey, the women did not do better. Men were able to generate more revenue than female entrepreneurs in Nigeria. I actually put Nigeria because this is a pan-Nigeria study. This also calls for further investigation. Is this peculiar to Nigeria? Can this be translated? Can we do the survey outside Nigeria to see if men entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs, if given the same circumstances, the same template, can do more than will do more than female entrepreneurs, or female will do more. We could also investigate why women are not able to deliver as much as men. I know for one that an average woman will tell me that we have to manage the home. We manage the home better than the men. Maybe this would be one of the reasons. But in research, you need to have your data to be able to prove some things. So this also calls for further investigation. Then we'll look at the occupational of spouses. Does occupation of spouses matter? And it was amazing that entrepreneurs married to entrepreneurs generate about 4 times the revenue of entrepreneurs that are married with unemployed spouses. There's an interaction that goes on with these two entrepreneurs that make them succeed more than the ones that are not married to entrepreneurs. The kind of support, it could be the empathy, it could, because we need to have data to support these evidences to know why entrepreneurs married to entrepreneurs were able to generate more revenue than entrepreneurs not married to entrepreneurs. And we also check if working together could be a blessing. Does working together make a difference? Yes. Entrepreneurs that work with their spouses generate more revenue than entrepreneurs that are not working with their spouses. And that is also amazing. There's a blessing in marriage. Marriage is not a scam. Maybe it also affects the entrepreneurial performance of an average entrepreneur. And these are my recommendations based on this finding. Because we need more full-time entrepreneurs in Nigeria to generate more economic growth and help more people leave the unemployment market in Nigeria. The government needs to create an enabling environment to encourage full entrepreneurship and also allow entrepreneurs to try. They have to do that through the policies, they formulate the regulation and also access to funding. We also need to have policies formulated and structured provided to empower and support women entrepreneurs beyond access to finances. We've had a lot of program on finances, and we need to look into that. And we also, this is also like a general suggestion and advice that entrepreneurs should embrace their marriage as a vital relationship that could also impact on their entrepreneurial performance positively. Thank you. I'd like to take questions. Professor Debbie, Dr. Harry, I'd like to take questions. You can just raise your hand if you want to. Can we just take this first? Okay.
Mine? Is that me? I have the floor?
Yes, you can, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have a few questions that I was noting when you were, as you went along, that I noted down. And one, I think that the definition of entrepreneurship is fairly limited, because I think that one word that goes with the definition of entrepreneurship is value creation. I was listening to see, because is that exchange of value, that really creative exchange of value is what really entrepreneurship is. Then again, I was thinking that when you said some people are not bold enough to to jump in, they're doing half and half. I would say that there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a hobbyist. Anybody who is not, again, this is subjective. Anybody who is not, who says he's an entrepreneur and is not, giving his 100% attention, is probably a hobbyist, doing something by the side, because a side hustle is really a hobby. It's not really entrepreneurship. To succeed, it requires a whole lot of, 100% focus. Then I think there's also a difference between trading and business that needs to be made. Trading is where the difference between trading and business is just how customer relationship is conducted. A trader doesn't have a formal way of engaging with their customers, whereas a business has a formal way of engaging and keeping the relationship with their customers. Okay. Then I look at some of our mothers, who in those days were probably not educated, but they were selling, a lot of the women selling things in the market. All they're just doing is, I bought something for 10 naira, I'm selling for 15, I'm making a profit of 5. They just kept it simple, so to speak, but that's trading. And then when you talk about basic education and experience, I doubt that these two prerequisites, I don't have the data. And I think that for me, between man and woman, I don't see a difference. Yes, because a man who has the challenges that a woman faces will encounter the same challenges of time And the woman who encounters the challenges of bringing up children also will also have challenge of time. So but if put in the same place, I personally am a man, but I think that women are more creative, and ambidextrous. Women can actually deal with a whole lot more stuff than men can. So these are just my fair comment. Because, but to think that emotional support, I think that an entrepreneur really is an entrepreneur, whether he has support, emotional support or not, he will soldier on. And encouragement, everybody deals with, can do with some encouragement, but with or without encouragement, an entrepreneur will always forge on. These are just some of my comments. Thank you. Let me let you the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Thank you for your responses.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Okay, being an entrepreneur, it's much more than exchange, just like you said. And that was why I said, I talked about the design of the business model to exploit the opportunities. This definition was actually given by Harlan 2020. There are so many business definitions of entrepreneurship. I had to choose this because it was able to break down the processes of entrepreneurship into 5. And without the business model, an entrepreneur could actually just be an hustler or a sole proprietor, just like you talked about above, that fries akara and all that. But in Nigeria, it's also good for you to know that all those people are actually called micro SMEs, and they are also referred to as entrepreneurs in this definition of SMEDAN in Nigeria. They are actually defined as entrepreneurs. But on a larger scale, when we look at them not having a business model, we can actually call them sole proprietors and not actually call them entrepreneur. Thank you for the feedback, sir. And I also mentioned the fact that God is an entrepreneur because he creates value, because entrepreneurs actually create value. Thank you very much, Dr. Harry. Prof, do you have any question, any suggestion?
I've got a question, but you may not. I think it was really interesting to hear what you've found so far, and I was wondering whether there was any relationship between the fear of failure and whether someone's got previous work experience, so they're older, a bit more confident, and the gender aspect. So I just wondered if you had any sense of that.
We could look at the data as well to see if there's something we could get from that. We could look at the data to see people that have with previous work experience and fear of failure, if there's a difference in it, and also when we look at the gender. So there's call for further research on this to actually know why those data look the way they look like. They look like. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Questions from here?
I think for me, just to good afternoon. My name is Rashid Karim. I'm the founder of the Agri Technologies. So I think for me, talking about one of the data that shows the difference between the gender, right? I understand the fact that because when the first contributor was saying that putting a woman and a man on the field to just strike out entrepreneurship journey, it doesn't see any different. But for me, right, women are creative, but when it comes to risk, right, it's one of the most important things, you do as an entrepreneur. You take a lot of risk. And I see, women, have a fear of taking risks most of the time from some of the experiences I've had. And I would say that, it could be one reason where we see data showing men having more revenue, because when you get into an entrepreneurship business, right, your first year could be very, rugged and very tough, right? But the risk you are taking along the curve, determines how you get revenue, more revenue, at the end of the day. I've seen a lot of businesses that have done, failed in some and all of that. And I keep taking risks, in building capacity around what I've failed on, right? Women could be emotional, right? Sometimes, and that's the way they are being created. And that's the reality about life. Both gender might have some capacity, but in terms of risk men could take more risk, and that could affect how men get more revenue than women in that space.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rashid. I think we could actually do another research on this to know why women are not generating as much revenue. And, we just put this out there and say that men generate more revenue in a survey of about 750 people and all that. Why do you think, as a woman and you're an entrepreneur, a woman is not generating as much revenue? And we can go from risk, from capacity, and sometimes we really don't know what we're going to find out. I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming to my practical. And I appreciate your time. This has to be done for 20 minutes. And I hope to invite you for the next one. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.